do the disclaimer that whatever is. I think if you've seen my videos though,
I'm at your mercy already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that in my videos, there's a lot where you'll see I'm like, oh, I'll edit this out, and then end up leaving it in. So you hear me saying I'm gonna edit that out, and like.
Well, those are the shorts. You have to have.
I've actually left them in the longer videos too.
Oh, here you go. It's all content.
It's all content. Okay. Oh wait, you have to do your clappy thing.
Oh right. Okay. Ready? We're gonna sync the audio and video.
Which I've just learned how to do.
Because we have a camera here, and we have a camera there, and they're both getting different audio. Right. Well, they're getting the same audio but different microphones.
Record on that one, right?
I'll check.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, that would have been horrible.
Well, I knew I did it, but that's a fear of mine. If I think about it, I have to check because now I'll regret it later. So now back to the clappy thing.
Okay, sorry, the clappy thing.
So it's kind of like a clapboard that you see on TV shows. The like, take one, right? So part of the purpose is it's going to let you sync up your audio and video later. Ready? So we're just going to do this.
That's amazing.
Oh, we'll do it one more time. So now you can look for video-wise where my hands meet, and you can sync up the two cameras.
Okay.
You can also audibly look at your waveform monitor in your editor if it has one, or just listen and look for that sync.
That's amazing.
You could also just go, hey, but then you got to watch the mouth. So
yeah.
This is a little more definitive, right?
Yeah, and well, that's why they use an actual
clapboard. And plus on those, they write a lot of information. So it's a slate. So when they go to edit later, it's like, take one, here's all the information, here's the episode number.
Yeah.
So it's really for editing and logging and all of that stuff. So
as a kid, I used to make videos, and we would make those out of paper. So they didn't do the purpose they were meant to. It just was a bunch of scribbles.
Yeah. I have one from Universal. I have one from Universal Studios.
Oh, that's
like
amazing.
Like one that you would buy in the.
Oh.
In the
I was like, what?
No, not like Universal Studios, the amusement park. Like I picked it up on the way out at a gift shop.
Oh, okay, nice.
But you can chalk on it. You can do everything, but it's.
You should use that when you come to
should
video.
Have brought it.
I know.
Man.
Opportunity missed.
And I would tell them this is legit Universal Studios. I know it looks like I bought it at the amusement park, but that's how high level this stuff is. This is the quality you're getting
with the Zoom recording and the
iPhone on the tripod.
The Amazon tripod. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history in not just the video recording, which is really how we came together, but all digital marketing.
So I didn't start off in this digital world, well, in terms of marketing and social media, but for 20 years I was in the news world. Like your local news stations. My first job, I was in Wisconsin as a director and photographer, like videographer. So I would go out and shoot different events and do stories, and then I would come back and direct the news. And then I would also do client work. So I did commercials. It was a real small market, like 134, the Northwoods of Wisconsin, north of Madison, north of Milwaukee, like closer to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So that's what people told me. You get this. In this career, you got to start off in a small market, so I did that. Then I jumped to Tallahassee, then I went to Fort Myers, and I went back to Tallahassee in management. All of those things until I went back to Tallahassee were all as a television director. So I would direct the newscast. So I was the person either sitting behind the board with all the lights and pushing all the buttons and telling all the cameras where to go, or I was the one sitting behind that person giving out commands, stand by camera one, take camera one, all this, like the stuff you kind of see on TV. When I got into management, I started kind of moving away from that as much, and I actually started designing television news studios and control rooms. So that environment where the director would sit and the producer would sit, because I was at the right place, right time when HD was happening, high definition. So all of these stations that were at one point shooting your normal square had to now adapt and go to the widescreen format, essentially. A lot of other things, but basically the widescreen format. So that meant new equipment, new ways of doing things. So I was at the right place, right time to where my TV station was one of the first in a big group of TV stations to really do that. So that set me up to then help all the other stations. So I got to build stations in Omaha, Nebraska, Dothan, Alabama, a lot of smaller markets, but that was a lot of fun. And then I moved in 2012. I moved from Tallahassee and moved to Houston. So I moved from what was market 107 to market 8 at the time. But the station I moved to was Channel 39, and they were doing a news product called Newsfix.
I remember Newsfix.
Yeah, so that was a very unique way of doing things. I thought I was tired of news. I didn't want to do news anymore. I had done it at that point, I guess, for like 12 years. And I just kind of wanted something different. And then I saw a job posting for operations manager, and it was like reading my resume. So I applied, and they hired me, and I moved out to Houston. And so I was there for 8 years. So I came in a year behind the launch of Newsfix. But that really changed a lot of what I knew because of the style and how they did things. And if nobody knows what Newsfix is, Google it real quick, look up Newsfix. It was news, but delivered completely differently. A lot of high-end production. We operated more like a production house. So we had graphic designers, sound designers, we had your normal photographers. We also had, kind of funny, there was a group of people called Predators. Yeah, so that eventually,
what did they do?
we eventually changed that to MMJ.
There you go.
But it basically meant the Predator would go out and they had to shoot, write, and edit all their own content. Where so that person was like a one-man band.
Okay.
I did not come up with that term, Predator. They didn't like to say they were the Predators.
Who came up with that term?
I don't know. There was a lot of people involved at the very beginning of Newsfix. It had a lot of really bold ideas, a lot of like, let's rock the boat. We're not going to be your
They
normal
rocked it a
newscast.
little too much.
A little too much. Yeah. I don't know. There's like those things you hear, and like nobody in that room said maybe we don't say Predator. Like
Right.
there's got to be another way to do this. But
Probably
no.
thinking of the movie and not
I don't know.
Predators versus Aliens.
But even at that point, somebody, I mean,
Someone needed
that
to
was
speak
20,
up.
that was 2011.
Oh.
So yeah, it wasn't like it was 2000, right?
Right,
Like when
right.
that word didn't mean what it means now. But so I did that for 8 years. That product, I think it was 20. I don't know the dates, but it lasted for 7 years. They canceled it. I went through a really rough spot. They literally laid off 52 people in one day.
Oh wow.
So like everybody that created that Newsfix product, except for 4 of us, were let go. So because I was the operations manager, I oversaw all the behind the scenes stuff. It's not necessarily because I'm really good, but it's because of my knowledge. They kept me around because
You are really good.
well, thank you. But the plan was to change the format completely, redo the studio, buy new things, new gear, and so my expertise
That's something you
came into play, right? So they needed me maybe more than they wanted me. I don't know. But either way, I didn't lose my job. So we did a whole new format of news. And I was there, it was all morning news, which meant I had to get up early and I was back to doing news. And I never worked the morning shift. I was going in at 3:30 a.m. I love sleep. Sleep is like my favorite thing. And that really got in the way of it.
a little bit.
Yeah, and it was like my whole life revolved around sleep. Anyway, I'm going really long here. But so then after that,
Yeah, I have to edit all this later.
yes, I know.
No. I'm joking. No, I
Just chop
actually,
it up. Yeah.
The funny thing, I don't know this much about you. In my mind, I'm like, oh, Cameron did news, and he met Trisha in Florida, and they moved here. So
Yeah, Trisha's my wife. We've been together for it'll be 20 years this September.
Oh wow.
So all of those adventures I've been on, she was with me. She came right along with me, supported me, and so that's important for this next part of the story because Channel 39 was owned by one company, a large media company. They sold all of their stations to another station group. It was a good station group. That was happening toward the end of my time at Channel 39.
Okay.
I had a lot of people who left and they went to other stations in Houston. Channel 2, Channel 13, Channel 11, Fox, Channel 26. So I had a lot of friends out there and they always would try to get me to come where they were at. Well, one day I got an email from somebody at Channel 2 who had been trying to get me there for a while, but there was just never a spot. And it basically said, hey, the operations manager just resigned. Nobody knows that yet. I'm telling you first, send me your resume. And I literally had that like gut-wrenching feeling of like, oh, but I'm really comfortable where I'm at. I mean, I gotta wake up real early, but I'm really, I mean, I know this. I've been doing it for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I did it anyway. And so then I went over during the scary word of COVID. I went over to Channel 2 as their operations manager there, which means I oversaw all of the photographers, all the editors, and almost all the behind-the-scene people. This was the first time as a manager I didn't oversee the control room. The control room, like where the director is at and things like that. But it's basically, I did all the logistics for almost all the behind-the-scenes people. Scheduling, travel, just so many things. So I come to an environment where people work side by side during a time when people can't work side by side.
Oh, yeah.
So it was very unique. I walked into a beautiful brand new building that was empty. Producers weren't there. Everyone was working remotely. My position, I needed to be in the building. I needed to be there to do it. So it was very weird. So my time started off bad there, and I never really enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed the people; they were awesome, but the stress level was like a 9. The station is very aggressive in a good way. It's what a news station wants to be.
Yeah.
But I was back to where I was, where I didn't want to do news anymore.
Yeah.
So then, luckily, the city I live in, a very small city, 5,000 people. They had social media. They had a Facebook. They had an Instagram. They did some videos from time to time. They had a website, an LED sign that you could put graphics on. They, at the time, were outsourcing all of that stuff to, they had a contract with someone that did those things. So they decided it was time for the city to have a full-time communications director. And I thought, well, I've never only done social media. I've never only managed a website. I've never only produced videos, but I've done all of these things. At all of those stations, especially Channel 39, I was heavily involved in creating the social media, how they did it, like making videos with the team. So I played in that area my whole career. So I was like, I think I can do this. I have a lot of ideas. And my background would be very different from anybody else that probably applies for this job. And so I applied for it and went through the process of multiple groups of people interviewing me. And because I'm a resident, I really felt passionate about, even if they didn't hire me, I thought it should be a resident.
Yeah.
That is out in the community, hears things, kind of understands the needs of the community, regardless of what we, like in social media, what we think people want to hear.
You are the target audience.
Right, like I know it's very specific. Like, so it's very unique in that way where I felt whoever you hire, I think it would be great if they're a resident because they're hopefully more in tune than somebody who just drives into the city hall Monday through Friday, sits in meetings and kind of tries to grasp the community.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that now. May will be 2 years, and I love it. My stress level went from an 8 to a 2, even if a 2, because everything is now in perspective.
Yeah.
I used to, my days were set up based on the newscast. I got to be ready by 4.
Yeah.
Got to be ready by this time. Now I've worked very quickly because of that. So now I've had to teach myself it's okay to slow down a little. And the joke is government moves slow. So I'm in a place where I'm allowed to slow down. And it's great though. I love it. I get to make graphics. I make video. It's like I went back to that first job I talked about in Wisconsin, where I was a jack of all trades. It's just me, and so I get to make videos. I make the graphics. I make the graphics for the LED sign. I put graphics in a newsletter. I manage a website again, so it's fun.
Yeah, and you don't have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning.
No, we have 980s, so I have every other Friday off. That's why I'm here on this Friday doing this with you because, it's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all the time we have.
I'm
though,
sorry,
so.
and that's what people are gonna think now. They're like, man, that guy just talked. That's because of the coffee.
No, I did make.
I'm blaming the coffee. It's good coffee, but I'm blaming the coffee. And my wife, when she sees this, will go, "Oh my God, you talk so much." You talk, and all of my friends, I know it's going to be, oh, you just talk so much.
That's fine. I hope that they listen and make a lot of comments on YouTube about the amount that you're
just
talking.
share away.
I'm not gonna edit a single thing
No,
out
you should
of
share it
that
all.
first.
The guy that never stopped talking. Like, that's your caption. Does he stop?
5 minutes in, I was actually thinking, me and you should do this. We should do like a podcast where we sit and we talk. And then 20 minutes in, I was like, well, maybe
Cameron should do
could...
one, and I'll just be there to go, oh.
The worst thing about this is I have terrible RBF when I'm listening to someone. And so I was very aware the whole time you're talking, I'm like...
Am I smart?
I know. I was listening, but
There's
I also...
a good shot right there.
Oh, gosh.
That's the thumbnail.
Okay.
That's it.
Nick, lay down. Lay down.
I think that's great. That's the perfect. That's your.
I have to tell you. Okay, well, I can't say it on camera because what if I forget to edit it out? But Adrian, remind me to tell you something later.
Wow, that's the B filter. If you get the filter, then it's wow. Yeah, she filtered herself. That's good. There's something quality coming.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways. Okay. Back to the. So this. I feel like I need multiple clap scenes so that I.
Do it. Do a clap. This is your marker.
Well, we're.
This is your potential edit spot. Potential edit.
Clap.
That's not a good.
I haven't copied.
You've learned nothing.
You know what works for me though is like this.
I'll cover it.
Yeah,
works. Whatever works.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Don't overthink this.
Yeah.
Right. It's whatever works. You could.
Because I look for I'll scroll through it a lot, and I'm like, I need a visual of when. You know what I mean? But if it covers the whole screen.
So so there are there's a lot of types of photographers. So I come from the news world, so they call those ENG photographers, electronic news gathering.
Oh,
ENG,
okay.
right? So those guys shoot different than the person that goes and shoots a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
Their cameras are different, the lenses are different that they use. But so if they're sitting and they're shooting a press conference or they're shooting anything, on the side of those cameras, the good ones, there's a little tab that goes from video to color bars.
Oh.
So a lot of the good ones, knowing that they're going to have to edit that together and get it on the news in like 30 minutes, they will mark it like that.
Yeah.
So they'll flip their thing up because they're still getting audio. So they'll flip it to the color bars and then they'll flip it back down, and that's how they'll make a marker.
That's serious. That's what I need. That's really.
But your hand is the same thing. Boom,
Yeah.
I covered it. As long as you're like scrolling through and you see it, it means something to you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, this is actually, who's going to use this is Awaken Yoga Studio. They record their video.
Mm-hmm.
But during the class, the teachers are normally talking at the beginning. But then when they're going in and editing, Grace, the owner, will edit it. She's like, oh, I don't ever know when they're actually starting the class. And it's like if they could just put up a sign, you know what I mean? Or be like,
ask the yoga instructor, wave frantically at the camera
Exactly.
before you start.
We're good
knowing
at
that
that.
we're recording it. Yeah.
Go into crow pose
Yes.
and
although that means we're starting.
and done. Okay, so this is actually a little bit of a different interview. Everyone that I've interviewed up until this point,
Hasn't talked.
well, I've done most of the talking, so thank you for
Sorry.
taking over. No, I'm glad.
Lies.
Lies. So they've all been business owners, and so they've done their own social media to help promote themselves, and it was really tips and tricks from people who were not doing this. Oh gosh, he's about to take the whole camera
The blanket
down.
and everything is.
Yeah, come on up here. I don't know what you want, but I need you to not do that during our recording. I don't know what he wants.
Go outside.
Oh, he might want to go outside. Just lay down. There we go. Okay. There you go. Okay. So, it's all been, people who really don't have any sort of, so all of that, I guess, new stuff, that's not anything I would typically think is marketing, but you are, now, in just the city, you're doing all their communications and marketing, so you just naturally have a knack for it, like it's something, that comes naturally for you. Hold on.
I don't know if when I applied for that job, I don't know that I would have said yes. It wasn't until I kind of got into it and started doing it. I don't know I'm good at it until someone like you who does it all the time says, Cameron, you're pretty good at this. So it's a lot different doing this for a government agency. My goal is not to get clicks, it's not to get views, so my metric is not how many people necessarily watch my video or how many likes or loves that I get. It feels really good when that happens. I mean, I'd like to see that happen. So there's no real gauge for me to go, well, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
People tell me that, so that's nice to hear. But so I guess I'm good at it based on if you think I'm good at it, then maybe I'm good at it. But I think a lot of even doing news, it all kind of applies, right? You have an audience, you're making a product,
Yeah.
it's got to be good. Why do they like it? How can we get them to watch it? And television news is like the newspaper was. It's struggling. Nobody watches it anymore. And Newsfix was supposed to be a way to beat that. And we had good ratings. It just wasn't, the company that was coming in to take over didn't see where it fit. If you look up Newsfix and you see some of the styles that were done, and then if you do watch local news, you will now go, oh, that looks like Newsfix.
Yeah.
Especially if you watch Channel 11. They have a lot of news fixers.
I feel like Newsfix was like a TikTok series.
I think it would be different now.
Yeah.
I think it would even maybe grab more. We were too ahead. It honestly was too far ahead of its thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like if it happened now, I think it would find even more of a place digitally.
It would. It's like
because it was meant to be consumed as individual stories.
Yep.
As opposed to this long, really weird newscast. But yeah, so I've never felt like I've had to try at it, but I think it's because of all those experiences. I don't know this because I'm naturally good at it. I think maybe anybody that comes out of the world I came out of would then seem naturally good at it.
Take the compliment.
Well, but I think it's the same thing. Trying to the shaky cam. Yes. Another often unused technique. The shaky. All you need is a dog to pet the dog.
This is the worst audio. I have my dishwasher going.
It's real. Right?
It is real.
I hope that real. I don't know that people have high expectations.
No, well, not from my videos.
Well, I just mean hopefully it's the content, right? That's the goal.
That is the goal. So going back to that, so there's a few things that I want to touch on, like actual questions now when we're coming to. So one. Managing the social for a government agency. I did a series with the sheriff at Fort Bend, who I think is the one that manages their the sheriff's social media.
Fagan?
I'm pretty sure, maybe I can't remember the name of who it was, but it was either him or it wasn't him. It was someone within the their communications department, and they were saying how they're not able to delete any negative comments. Like there's a lot of rules and restrictions when it came to their Facebook page. Are there any specific rules and restrictions that you have to follow within the communications and social media pages? Like if you get any negative comments or angry people on...
So if they're angry or they're being negative, then that's their right. If they are talking bad about somebody, using curse words, anything like that, then we can hide them. So there is. I don't look at that any different than I would though if I had my own personal social media channel. I think if somebody wants to talk bad about you, that's part of the process, right? Especially as a city, because residents have a lot of opinions, and even if you think whatever the resident says makes no sense at all, there might be a glimmer of something in there that makes you go, well, there's a little bit of something there, maybe we need to look into that. I don't filter people, again, unless they're directly talking bad about somebody or using curse words,
That's usually my recommendation for people. I get a lot of can we just hide that? Can we delete it? And I think it's actually a missed opportunity. Like if someone's gonna give you negative feedback, or a negative comment, you're able to respond and either acknowledge them or, you can also say your side of the story or get the message. I don't know. I'm gonna have to edit that out. See, I'm not well spoken.
No,
I liked it better when you talked. No, okay. So it's when someone gives you a negative comment, it's a missed opportunity. Now you're seeing the behind the scenes stuff. You did it too. Okay. I get a lot of people asking me though about the negative comments and what they should do about it, and I always say that you should leave them because it could be a missed opportunity if you delete it or hide it, where people can see the real, I guess, the real people behind the scenes. You know, how you handle conflict, how you handle negative feedback. It's a missed opportunity to be your authentic self. I don't know, you know.
Well, I think your whatever your social media platform is, if it shares a brand, I think every it has its own personality.
Mm-hmm.
That personality is usually whoever's sitting there typing on the keyboard. I mean, you try as the person managing it to have a voice of the like in my case, the city.
Right.
Everything that I do, I try to really help everybody within the city understand whatever our parks director does, whatever our city administrator does, whatever a council member does, whatever we say represents the city.
Yeah.
The city as a whole. They don't care that one person said it. They care that the city said it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if the parks director says something that doesn't necessarily reflect what I think is the image of the city, well, when I'm out at a city function, I might as well have said it.
Ah.
Right? So I'm really aware of that whenever I'm doing things on social media.
Yeah.
Is that whose voice is it? It's not mine, it's the city, right?
Yeah.
Would somebody else, would a council member support that comment or that reaction that I may have on social media? Because it's them, they're the face, I'm just the person behind the keyboard. So I think though, like that negativity, if you have a good fan base, people will come to your defense too.
And if you leave it, then you're allowing that opportunity for people to also.
There's someone in City Hall that says it'll always self-correct. Social media tends to self-correct.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that like we probably get the most worked up about if we just let it sit there for a day, people move on.
Oh,
very
100%.
quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah.
And the few that don't, they're the few.
Yeah.
Well,
something that made me think about, you know, I've had a lot of people ask about the negative comments and also what to post, and do you post anything political or religious, and it all comes back to knowing your core values as a business. You know, not just you as a person, as Cameron, but the city as a, you know, entity. What are the core values? And as long as you're posting and commenting and responding in line with that, then you can do no wrong. But you have to know what that is, you know? So does certain content lie within those core values, lie within that culture, then you're okay. But there's a lot of people that just don't even know that. They never thought about that for their business, you know?
I think that is like one of the most key things to doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're managing somebody else's brand, is you have to like really immerse yourself and try to understand what their goal is, not just like metrics. I mean, like, why are you doing this?
Yes.
Why do you even want to sit in front of the camera? Why do you want to make a social media post? Oh, because other people are doing it. No, that's you're never going to see what you want from it if that's why you're doing it, just because. And I think that was one thing that coming to the city, they understood that it was a tool to speak to residents, and they did it well. But I think whenever you sit there and really go, what's this? Why are we doing this? Because we need to inform them. Like, we need to make sure that they get the message in 5 or 6 different ways.
Yeah.
Just because that's what our job is at the city, is to make sure residents are informed.
Yeah.
And find unique ways to do it and stay transparent. And if someone says you're not being transparent, well then how can we be more transparent? What information can we put out there? How can we do it? And that's what I mean. That goes back to the personality of the brand. So I think that's huge, really. I think that's, when you said that, that's exactly right, though.
Well, it also, what you're saying about having, how many ways can you have the information out there? So I've had someone say, like, we have a newsletter list, but what do we put in it? And I'm like, the same stuff you're putting on social media. And they're like, well, isn't that redundant? I'm like, nope. Some people like to have, I personally do not like newsletters. I'll sign up for them for my 10% discount, but I do not read them, you know? But there's tons of people that don't want to scroll on social, and they do want it, you know, sent to them in the inbox. And so, like, especially for our nonprofits clients, a lot of the same stuff we put on social, we'll put the highlights, like not the humor posts and things like that, but the really really good content information we'll put into the newsletter, because people want their information different ways. Some people want to watch it on a video, some people want to read it, people want it in their inbox, some people want it print,
Right.
in their mailbox. And so it is important to inform in all the different ways, honestly, not just as the city or for all people. Like, if you have a client list, you should be utilizing that to email people out. If you have addresses, like, why not send a quarterly newsletter?
Right.
I think it's so doable now, especially with things like, even small businesses can do it. Something like Canva, you can literally create a digital newsletter and then print it.
Yeah, that
So,
Canva changed the game.
it really did.
I think you're right. Everybody consumes things differently, and you can reuse things.
Yeah.
And even if you put it on Facebook, they may never see it just because of the algorithm. That day they were busy.
Yeah.
It got lost. Whatever. You can't guarantee any of that. That's another reason to put the same thing in multiple places.
Yep.
Because maybe that day they will click on the newsletter and like, oh, I would not have known that if I didn't see that on Facebook, and then I had it was there.
Yeah.
I promise it was there. Well, I never saw it. Okay, well, did you check these other 5 places?
Right.
But you want to be able to say that. Oh, I only put it on Facebook. Well, okay, well, I don't always see everything you put on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that is tough too, like reaching everybody, especially whenever I have a very defined audience and it's 5,000 residents.
Yeah.
And there's not a complete answer to that. There's not, we will have a new mayor soon in our city. They'll have new ideas, and I'm sure one will be, how do we reach the person that doesn't have Facebook, that doesn't have Instagram, that doesn't go online,
Yeah.
And people do have to adapt at some point. People don't put things in newspapers anymore because no one reads them.
Yeah.
So they've had to put their stuff other places. Same idea, right? And I think websites are still a big player. If a person has a website, the content you're putting on your social media should be on your website.
Yes.
Because you own the website.
Yes.
I had somebody say this one time, and it just made it so clear to me. So this is not my quote. I'm quoting someone else, but they said, you wouldn't build your house on somebody else's foundation or land.
Yeah.
And so if everything you're doing is tied into all of the free social media, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and all those went away tomorrow, where did your brand go?
Yeah.
Is it gone? If the answer is yes, then you probably need to get a website.
Yep.
And you need to put that, you don't have to make new content, you just repurpose it on your website.
Yeah.
Because that's what you own. The other stuff, luckily, we're being given for free, and it's great, and people can monetize it and do all these things, and you make a living off of doing that, and I make a living off of doing that, but in reality, if you're not putting stuff on your website, you're missing it. Because that's the number one way they'll find you when they search you. If you got good content on your website, they're going to come to your website. There is definitely a place for social media, but just remember, if all that went away tomorrow, because it's free, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't owe us Facebook. I mean, the world would probably fall apart if that plug got unplugged.
Yeah.
We would all, cry in the streets. But
mostly me.
yes.
But
But you know what I mean? Like, it's a free service that we're given. So.
Well, I say that as someone who makes their living on social media.
I almost didn't want to say it.
No. But you're right. I tell clients that. I'm like, you should have your own website and a newsletter. Yeah. You need to build up your subscriber list because you own those emails.
Right.
And if everything goes away, then you still have access to all of these emails so you can get your content out there in that way.
You still
in their
exist.
Inbox. Exactly. And so I tell them all the time, like so this is a question also, or not a question, a request I've gotten before. It's like, I want to go viral. I want thousands of followers. And I'm like, but why? Why? Yeah, I would love, of course we all want to go viral,
right.
And, but like, what does that do for you ultimately? Are all those people going to come into your store and buy your product the next day? And again, what if it does all go away? The next day, you go viral and then Facebook gets shut down.
Or the next person steps in and they're viral and now you just went to the back of the line.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't really do much. I would rather build fantastic content and genuine following. I would rather my clients have 100 followers they're actually going to buy their services than 10,000 followers that are never ever going to touch anything they do.
You want to be a resource.
Yeah.
You know, in a way. You know, another thing that I have to do for the city that you said something that made me think about it is I'm managing a brand. It is about making sure the residents know what's going on, but it's also making sure that people that don't live in Meadows Place, when they hear the word Meadows Place, it means something.
Yeah.
Just like when you hear the brand, whether you like Coke or Pepsi, it means something to
Yeah.
you. Well, I want people outside of Meadows Place to hear Meadows Place because we have a wonderful reputation. I don't want to ruin that with social media. It's important that that's reflected in what I do. And so that when you hear it, you think, oh, Meadows Place. And if you see our content, it matches that feeling,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what brings new residents to Meadows Place. And a lot of new residents, like if I were going to move to Meadows Place, I'm going to Google Meadows Place. I actually might go to Facebook and go, Meadows Place. So when I make a video, when I do a graphic, I'm speaking to them as well.
Yeah.
Because that might be the only time they sample us. And that goes back to my TV days. So you ask, how does that marketing fit in? If somebody changed the channel during a hurricane to our station and they got a quick sample because the other station went to commercial,
yeah,
and we retained them, and all of a sudden they're there for just a minute, but they didn't change back to the other channel, we just made a viewer.
Yeah.
And that's why ratings and weather events are so big in news, because people pick it and then they get stuck and they're there, and then they might come back for the news that afternoon, and now you made a new viewer.
Yeah.
But you only had them for that little time. So social media is no different.
Mm-mm.
If you're seeking out Meadows Place, I may have you for 45 seconds of your day.
5 seconds.
Yeah,
sometimes.
because you
Yeah.
thought about it though.
Yeah.
Like you're purposely going, what is this Meadows Place?
Yeah.
So I try to think, if this is the only time they see it, what did they get from it? Did they stop on our Facebook page and go, oh wow, they do a lot of posting. You know, that's another thing. How many times do you post? Whatever. But so it's if they scroll through the timeline, are they entertained? Do they see information? If I move there as a resident, are they going to communicate with me?
Yeah.
What are they doing to be transparent?
Mm.
Oh, they have a whole page that tells them where the projects in the city are and how money's being spent. Like, okay, they have their own water well system. Oh, okay, this is someplace I might want to live. So that's a big deal, and for businesses too, because this city only makes money if we have businesses. So if I'm a business and I want to come here, well, how are they supporting local business? Oh, they did a video when that Tim Hortons opened. That's a pretty cool video. I wonder if I went there. Oh, they have a Tim Hortons? Oh, they have a Starbucks? I thought they were a little city. So, like, that's a big deal, too. And that's what I hope I brought to the city, outside of just residents seeing it and thinking the stuff looks nice, is that there has been somebody that has stopped in and gone, oh. And I hear that from our mayor and different people who go to events, and they'll come back and go, hey, I had the mayor of so-and-so come up and say they saw that content and it was really cool. So I don't, while the likes and things feel really good, I mean, they feel wonderful, right? To like, oh, look at how many views, and every time you post a video, you go and check, like,
of course,
all the time. But that stuff means something, because I feel like I'm doing something for our city.
Yeah.
And I love Meadows Place. So that means a lot. Like, it's very gratifying. It's like I have stock in my place. It's like going to work at Google and having stock in the company. Like, I care about it succeeding. Yeah. And so that's why it's probably so easy too. I really care about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that really, I always say, like, and with our team also, every client that we have, they should feel like your only client. Like,
Right.
I want to feel like it's someone who is like in-house. Like, we really have to care about our client's mission and do it as if it was the only social platforms that we have. And so what you were saying, what made me think of is every single post you create, you have a goal in mind. Yeah. Like, every single one, because if that's the only post someone's gonna see, like, you have to know what your goal is. And I mean, I say the same thing. Even a humor post that we create for a client, like a meme or something, like, what is your goal of that post? You know, like, is it to make someone laugh? Is it to make them follow you? Do you want them to share it? Do you want them to tag a friend, comment? Like, every single post has to have a goal, and again, it has to align with your core values and overall, you know, marketing strategy in order to have a success. That's how you measure success, I guess, when it comes to the social media.
I think you could easily, if me and you sat down and made our top 5 things, I think because I've worked with you now long enough, I think they'd be very similar. I've been to a couple things on like at the Chamber of Commerce where they brought in people that manage social media for big companies, and it was a lot of small business owners there, and they asked all the same questions. How often should I post? What should I be posting? What platform is more important? And sometimes even those experts, you have to have value.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're posting, you don't just throw something up there. Like really do it with intention, right? And again, I say that from a space where mine is very intentional and I have a very clear audience, and it is maybe simpler than managing Mary's sewing shop, but even in those moments, it's who are you talking to? Why are you giving them this? If somebody samples you for this one time, what did they take away from it?
Yeah.
So you're speaking to your target audience plus the person that may become your target audience. And it's hard, right? That's what makes the job. That's why everyone thinks they can do social media.
Right.
But if you're really doing it well, and that's what makes people like you stand apart, and why you have the clients that come back to you and come do this stuff, is because that's the fundamentals of should be there to start with. And then you can have fun with like the occasional comedic post and hope that you don't upset somebody that you didn't anticipate. I did not think about reading it that way.
Right.
Which, being with the city, I just stay away from those things. But I do manage the police Facebook page.
Yeah.
So I feel I have more freedom in that, simply because other police departments do really fun posts. Like, Fulshire Police Department, they do a lot of comedic things.
They're really fun. I've seen that one.
And even our police chief he's open to that. I'm still kind of getting comfortable in that world, and just, if someone samples it for the first time, I don't want them to think that our police department is all comedic, right?
Right.
There's a reputation there too, so there is a fine line,
There's a balance.
Yeah.
You have to have the balance of like approachable, likable, funny, but also.
I love managing the police account because I have these police officers who, when you hang out with them, have these fun, goofy personalities.
Yeah.
And I have to tell them when I'm shooting videos, when you're doing this, you did not just pull me over. I don't want that guy. I don't want that woman. I want the person I talk to every day. You don't have to be like fully like woo, but loosen up. Relax your shoulders. Don't be so stiff.
Oof.
You didn't. You
should have said that at the beginning.
You didn't just walk up to my window.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do every day. Not that they walk up there. But you know what I mean. Like when they walk up to a window, they don't know who's on the other side of that window. So they have to have some sort of that authoritative positioning.
And be on guard for whatever.
They never know.
Yeah.
So I try to like really break that wall down when we're doing stuff, and they embrace it. When we do a few things, they realize, okay, he's gonna make. And that's when I trust him. He's gonna make me look good. He's not gonna spin this anyway. It's gonna be good. And so I have a lot of freedom because, again, it's like your clients give you freedom because they realize you understand what the goal is.
Yeah.
You understand who they are. You understand, and you've taken time to do that.
Research and listen to them, and it's about building that relationship also, and making them feel special. And it's not just because I want them to like me, and I want them to continue to pay me. It's like because I actually really want my clients to do well.
And hopefully it's not a viral moment. It's a long-term moment, right? So you're building a brand, like you're building the whole life of it. It isn't, you may not have a viral moment.
Yeah.
But if you've got 600 people that come back to you all the time versus the 3,000 that dropped in on that one thing and just disappeared.
Yeah.
People got to remember too, the viral moments matter though, because you are casting the net, and if from that viral moment you get 10 more people to like your page, well now you're in their feed.
Right.
Now you're there. So, but again, I often, if I have something that goes viral for the city, and viral is not viral in that viral sense, but I had a video where we had a Corvette that got wrapped in our police car branding. So it was a Corvette that said Meadows Place Police, super cool. So that was a great opportunity because it was a cool car, and you don't often see them look like a police car. And that video did really well by our standards. So I think it's important to capitalize on that right away. So if that happens, the next day, what are you going to give them? Because you, for a glimmer, have people that don't know who you are.
Yes.
Right? So ride the little bit of wave of momentum that you have, and hit that next thing, whatever that is. Don't waste that opportunity. So if you're gonna do that post or that thing that you put a lot of time into that you think has viral potential, be ready.
Yeah.
Have something in your back pocket. I usually hit them with we're hiring. You know, if we have an opening, we're hiring, or just something of value that give them, because the viral moment probably didn't have a lot of value from, like, it was just entertainment, right? So now offer them that value thing and go, oh, okay, I'm gonna keep liking them, and maybe they'll like the next one.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, you do have that follower that spreads the word about whatever it is. Oh, I know Meadows Place Police. Oh, City of Meadows Place. Okay, I've heard of them. They're not just they're an actual town.
Yeah. I've seen social media managers miss that opportunity. So usually when people do it themselves because they're posting daily on a whim, they'll have that viral moment and they're like, oh, I need to post something else, and they'll do it in the moment. And so they actually do a better job of that than social media managers, because social media managers will schedule out their content. So they'll have that viral moment, and then the next day they already had this post scheduled out, and so that's the one that goes out, and they didn't think, oh, I need to go look at my schedule and rearrange
and it's not relevant, and it's like,
and you have all these eyes on something that, like, just falls flat. So those are, I actually want to do another series on social media managers and, like, things that you can do differently if you're managing social media for someone else. If you're doing it in a professional setting, you're not doing it for yourself, which I think is a whole nother series that I think we could talk on. I do want to wrap it up, but I want to wrap it up with, you said me and you could probably write down the 5 things you should do on social media, like the 5 things that actually matter, which is not going viral. Like, I feel like let's, like, real quick talk that out and end with that.
Well, we probably have, right? So we both hit on, like, knowing your
core values,
whether that's your clients or your own.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, why are you doing this? Right? Yes. Does that lump into core values?
Core values. Why are you passionate about this? Why are you doing what you do?
What's made you even want to go on this adventure of social media? And then I think 2 is who's my audience?
Oh, 100%. Who's your audience? What platforms are they on?
Yeah, do they want what I have to offer, right? Because you're not going to see, if you just want to talk about how to make hot chocolate. Well, nobody probably cares about how you make hot chocolate, right? But
I make some damn good hot chocolate.
Well, so unless that's a very cool TikTok video. The key is vodka, right? So, but yeah, so you got core values. Who are my audience? I think the third thing would be where is my audience? Like you said.
I would, well, if we're limiting it to 5, I want to say who and where. I want to combine those 2.
Right? Because you got to meet them where they're at.
Right. Well, and also as part of that, I want to say, when you said, like, what do they want to know about? They don't want to just know about hot chocolate. Like, you can only post so much about exactly. You have to find other topics that kind of feed into that. Like, the client we were talking to yesterday, like, he has all these topics he wants to talk about for his niche, but he's like, but I can also talk on leadership.
Oh, there's so many.
I can also talk on,
There's so many.
So find those branches, okay? So you've got your core values, your audience.
Your content.
Define,
like, what, do you have enough, right?
Yes.
Like, is this going to sustain sustainability, right? Like, do you have enough? If you build an audience, what if your first thing goes viral and now you're like,
what do I post now?
I can't deliver. That was it. That's all I got, right? So, like, sustainability, right? Like, how do you, whatever you're offering, how do you continue to offer that?
Enough topics. The content needs to be quality content and provide value. It has to provide something, okay? Right. Whether you're being a resource, you're educating people, maybe you're just being a break in their day. So it is a humor post, but how is your content providing value to that person, to that audience? Yeah, quality content, which I would say, and I've said it in so many other videos, is I don't care what time of day you post. I don't care. I mean, I do care how often you post. I would say post at least, which maybe that is the 4th thing. Consistency, yes.
Yes, consistency.
Right? Like, consistently post. Even if it's just once a week, maybe it's 3 times a week, be consistent. consistently post quality content to your audience that aligns with your core values.
And was that 5 or 4?
No, that's only 4. So what's number 5?
Well, we got
Engagement. Respond.
Oh yes. When I got here this morning, I'm off today, but I looked and I had to interact with a post that I made yesterday, because I felt like if I don't, these people, why do they interact with me if I don't interact back? And that's hard. And do that timely.
Timely.
Like, I mean, if you do it the next day, you've already lost them in a way. And that is, that's hard to do. So you have to dedicate time.
Yes.
So that would be that engaging with them includes time commitment.
It does.
If you want to do it right, you gotta give time to it.
I tell people check your messages and your comments twice daily at least. So morning and night. I actually have I do work day. We do morning and before the end of the work day. But we respond to the comments, the messages, even if it's just liking the comment or responding with an emoji. You want to encourage that engagement, because really social media is a way for your clients to reach out to you.
Right. And
if you're not engaging them back, then what's the point? If you're not responding to them, especially if they're tagging you in a post, share that to your stories, So encourage that.
And if you don't have the time, then you have someone like Bea who will do it for you.
And if you need video content, I know a guy.
But I think all of that's really keys in on it, and we haven't even talked about how you can, if you don't have time, the tools you can do that make it seem like you have time, the AI of the world and the different things. If you can't come up with the clever reply.
Yeah, or even the quality content.
Yes. No, that's right. But that's what I mean. I made a great graphic, but now I got to type something up and get people to read this part. What do I say? And how to utilize that while maintaining your voice and your brand, and not just copying and pasting because ChatGPT.
Please do not chat.
People know that it's easy to know.
Yes. And you lose your authenticity.
So much. Yeah,
I love ChatGPT. I do, and I think we should.
Yeah, we could do a whole other thing.
I know, but okay, yeah.
We were wrapping up.
I know we were. Okay, but this was great, and I do think we'll talk about next steps next. But
so the big takeaways are clap.
Oh, and
that's the end of the video. Now you know where it's at.
Wait, but we didn't end it. We didn't close it out.
I'm taking people back to the beginning. Don't forget to clap.
Oh, I thought you were actually ending our video.
No.
Well, now we can.
Are we done?
Well, no, shouldn't we have a closeout, a conclusion?
I thought it would be me walking over and hitting the...
Oh, okay. The end.
The end? That's it.
No, usually I thank you
thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for coming over and drinking coffee and chatting with me. This was good.
I think we'll have to do another one.
I think we're going to do a lot more. I already have it planned.
I won't have as much coffee next time.
Okay, I was like, why were you not excited?
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if you get feedback on this one. And they sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, he talked so." Because that's my biggest takeaway is. I talked a lot.
That's how people are gonna watch it now, to see how long you talk without letting me.
Take a shot every time Cameron does this.
No, take a shot every time Bea talks. You'll stay sober.
Yeah. That's what I feel like. Maybe I sit behind a computer too long by myself, and this is why I don't interact with people in person.
You're like, hey, Bea,
let's talk.
Okay,
right.
now we're done. Now we're done.
I'm gonna end it.
Oh.